Hello and welcome to Star Wars Obsessed. This time I'd like to revisit the Land of the Jawas playset and add another droid. But what droid could that be? This time I'm going to add the Power of the Force to R5-D4 that came out in 1996. But this is not your ordinary R5-D4. This one is R5-D4 to the extreme. Yeah, this is a bit ridiculous, turning R5-D4 into a missile launcher? Oh, the 90s. The wacky 90s. There's a story behind R5-D4. I really like this story that was in From a Certain Point of View, and I'd like to read a synopsis of it to you. It's really good. R5-D4 was involved with a rebellion against the Galactic Empire. 4 years before the Battle of Yavin, however, he fell into possession of a group of Jawas where they worked as junkers and wiped the droid's memory. For the next 4 years, R5-D4 longed to be sold and repaired. One evening, R5 was overjoyed when two Jawas inspected him and decided that he was ready to be sold. They scooped sand out of his tool compartments, wiped down his photoreceptors, and added lubricant to his chassis and joints. Hours later, he was awakened by a jolt and saw several Jawas manhandling an R2 unit. This droid turned out to be R2-D2, who had been captured by the Jawas following the events of the secret mission to Tatooine. R5-D4 watched as R2 was fitted with a restraining bolt. Later that night, R5 was awoken by the R2 droid, who was in the process of sabotaging him to ensure he would be the only remaining functional astromech that the Jawas had for sale. R5 bleated angrily, and R2 apologized, explaining he was on an important mission. R5 responded that he was on no mission and that his memory had been wiped 4 years ago. R2 responded that he had to escape the Sandcrawler tomorrow and that the fate of the galaxy depended on his sale. Unknown to R5, R2 was carrying the stolen Death Star plans within his memory banks. R2 then added that the rebellion needed his help. The word rebellion triggered something. The phantom of a memory. When R2 begged again, R5 responded that if he did not escape the Sandcrawler and find a new master soon, he would cease to function. R2 was sympathetic, but stressed that if he did not find his master, the galaxy would be doomed. As a couple of Jawas approached, R2 promised not to hurt him again. The following morning, the Sandcrawler stopped at the moisture farm owned by the Lars family, including Owen Lars and his nephew, Luke Skywalker. Owen and Luke were interested in purchasing droids from the Jawas. The droids, which included R5 as well as R2 and the protocol droid C-3PO, were lined up for Owen to choose, and he chose R5 and C-3PO. As Owen talked to the Jawas about the purchase, Luke began leading C-3PO and R5 towards his home. When R2 moaned, R5 reassured him that someone would buy him. R2 then reiterated that the galaxy was doomed and told R5 that he was his only hope. Realizing how important R2's mission was, R5 loosened the hinge on his head plate and redirected the lubricant into a mass just behind the photoreceptors. When that was ready, R5 purposely discharged the power, causing his head plate to pop off. This led Luke to think that R5 had a bad motivator. In his place, Owen instead purchased R2-D2. Only powering his auditory receptors, R5 heard R2's farewell, thanking him for his sacrifice and that he would never forget him. R2's warning was proven right when Imperial stormtroopers stopped the Sandcrawler and interrogated the Jawas about the two droids they had sold. While the stormtroopers blasted the Jawas, R5 played dead and was overlooked by the stormtroopers. Later, R5 recomposed himself and made a trek along the Jawas' trade route in hopes of finding a new owner in the next valley and potentially finding the rebellion. At some point, he later found his new place within the rebellion, just like his old friend R2-D2. Alright, back to this extreme R5-D4. This has been with me in my collection since 1996. It's time to take him off the card because I've always wanted to see how this worked. This R5-D4 is really big. Does the head turn? No. So it's basically a solid figure, some major guns. Wow. Because everything in the 90s had to be intense, right? This is silly. Alright, well, how does... This is just ridiculous. This is just... So how does R5 open? Here we go. I have to unlock it this way, or... Oh, the legs at least move. Okay. How does this come apart? Oh, do I have to pull it off? No. There's the instructions. Oh, it comes... I see. It splits. So you have to pull them apart like this with some electronics on the inside. And then, oh, some electronics there and in the front. And here's the missile launcher. This missile goes in here and push the button. There we go. Yay! Well, this is a bit ridiculous. I'm going to compare them to the vintage. Whoa, look at that. It's kind of like they did with the human figures when they came out with the Power of the Force 2, like making them bigger and buffer and just, wow, oversized. Look at that. You can make it like, more like, oh no, it's battle damaged R5-D4. Oh, he blew up. Poor thing. Needs to be repaired. And this is a pretty cool feature. You know, you can put the missile inside and then just close R5-D4 with the missile inside. Very handy. But let's put him in the land of the Jawas amongst all the other droids. Alright, another droid for the Jawas. I'll just set him here. I'll put him over here a little bit further back. Alright, that looks good. A nice addition to the land of the Jawas. Alright, thank you for watching this episode of Star Wars Obsessed. I just want to remind you that I will be doing my first live stream this Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific. If you're unable to attend the live stream and you have questions for me that you'd like me to answer, well, leave them in the comments below. Also, if you have certain topics that you'd like me to talk about, then just put that in the comment below. Hope to see you at my very first live stream. Thank you for watching Star Wars Obsessed.